Hello and welcome to Read Read. Today I have a bit of a different video for you. I have a kind of life channel reading update video because I have actually spent the last 2 months on vacation overseas in Europe, and it might not have seemed like this because I have had videos scheduled to come out and be released consistently like once every week, but yeah, for pretty much all of July and August I have been in Europe, and I wanted to make a video just to kind of catch up and give some updates on things that have happened while I was overseas. So the main things, I'll just talk about what I read and the books that I bought. So this is also going to be a book haul video, but I'll quickly start the video just by giving a thank you because I reached the 1,000 subscriber milestone while I was overseas. So yeah, and I was really happy. Obviously you're kind of, it's getting a bit close, and then when you hit the number it's just like a joyful ecstatic moment. But the thing that I really like is that I feel like I haven't made any compromises in terms of the sort of videos that I want to make or the sort of books that I want to talk about. So, you know, the number doesn't really matter, like how many people there are. Just the fact that it's growing means that I'm kind of finding more people who have similar tastes or perspectives on literature as I do. And so, yeah, it's just nice to see that it keeps growing. I don't really have ulterior motives for this channel, like any financial motives or anything. It's just talking for fun about books that I like. So a bit of a circuitous rambling way of just saying thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers, and I hope you and future subscribers enjoy the now and future videos that are going to come out. I will talk about what I read. I think at the end of this video I'll get to the fun part, which is the book haul, and I'll talk about where I bought the books and so on. But yeah, I bought 11 books while I was overseas, and just to give you some context as well, I traveled for 2 months without any checked bags. So yeah, I found some sort of way to fit all of these in my carry-on, which, yeah, you know, I'll let you just sort of imagine that. But I bought 11 books. Starting off, coming out of the gate strong in Athens, I bought The Cantos of Ezra Pound. And this was funny, like, you know, I just saw this and I don't know why, but I've not seen the cantos around in like a physical edition in any of the bookstores here in Australia. And so as soon as I saw this, and I saw this for a pretty decent price, I just remember that it was something like 10 Australian dollars cheaper than buying it on Amazon. So I was like, oh heck yeah, you know, I'll pick up the cantos. And then of course later on the trip I started to see I think the Faber and Faber edition of the cantos everywhere, which also would have been nice to have bought because it kind of matches the cover of the Emily Dickinson poetry that I have. But yeah, I still got this for a really good price, and it is a bit of a sadistic. I don't think I'll be reading it anytime soon because it seems incredibly hard. But I'm glad that I have a copy of the cantos, like a complete edition. So yeah, that was the first book that I picked up. The next 2 books are actually art books. I bought these, A, they were a really good price, B, they were for artists that I quite enjoy, and C, they are kind of very aesthetic. I bought I think they're like Taschen. So I think the company is from Germany, but I bought the books of the complete works of Bruegel and Bosch. And it was cool because like I bought this after seeing the Tower of Babel in person in Vienna at the Art History Museum. And but also the winter, I'm forgetting the name of this artwork right here, but like I saw this in person as well, and so it was a very lovely transcendental experience, and I wanted to capture it and remember it by picking up these like surprisingly affordable hardcovers of their complete works. I think these were like €20 or something, buying them in the museums, and so I was able to support them. And I also bought this Bosch work. I think after seeing this work, it was like Heaven and Hell. It's 4 pieces. I saw that as well, and I really wanted to pick up some more Bosch, so pick up a book about Bosch. So yeah, they were also really fun. And where did I see that Bosch? I'm drawing a blank, but I think I bought that book. I might have bought that in Vienna as well, maybe Venice. But anyway, moving on, I have got The Last Temptation by Nikos Kazantzakis, and what's really cool is I bought this from the Nikos Kazantzakis Museum. They have this bookmark because it's like their 40th year having the museum open. But what was a bit funny, I didn't actually go to the museum because it didn't really work out in our schedule to have time to go and do it, but it was just on the way that we were driving in Heraklion, in Crete. So I just quickly, I looked around in some of the bookstores in the city that I was staying, but I really just couldn't find a copy of this book. And so I went to the museum, straight into the bookstore, or to the museum shop, and they had one copy of this book available. So I thankfully bought it and secured it. I was actually maybe about 100 pages into Zorba the Greek before I traveled, but when I traveled I only brought one book, and I'll talk about that again at the end. But I liked the style. I really wanted to read this because it gave me the Satanic Verses vibes in terms of the things that the author was interested in. So yeah, Last Temptation by Nikos Kazantzakis. The next book, I bought this in Rome, The Written World and the Unwritten World, essays by Italo Calvino. I've read, and I think I even made a video on If on a Winter's Night a Traveller, and yeah, I wanted to buy an essay collection from him, and so I picked this up, and I also spilled gelato on it, so you probably can't see it, but there is some mint gelato on it, so I kind of baptized it in the ambrosia of Italy. But yeah, there's a lot of it. Just skimming through the table of contents, it seemed exactly like the sort of essays and voice that I wanted to check out. So yeah, Italo Calvino. Next up, in Paris, I went to Shakespeare and Company, did the sort of pilgrimage, and I bought this little book of Joyce. I knew I wanted to buy something Joyce related from there, and I was so tempted to buy a third copy of Ulysses, but I ended up buying this little book because it has Joyce's poetry in here, which I do have, and I have already read, but the reason I got this is because it also has Exiles, and I haven't read Exiles, so just to kind of finish off my Joyce collection, I wanted to pick up this great little hardcover, and also got the obligatory stamp from Shakespeare and Company, which is, almost lost the bookmark, but yeah, the Shakespeare and Company stamp. So yeah, and then also, because I couldn't help myself, I ducked back in there again and bought another essay collection from another Italian writer, oddly enough, but Umberto Eco's Chronicles of a Liquid Society. I've still not read Eco. I want to read The Name of the Rose this year, but again, just skimming through these, the kind of table of contents of this essay collection, it seemed like the sort of thing that I vibe with, so I picked up Chronicles of a Liquid Society by Umberto Eco. Next up, where did I buy this? I think I bought this in Prague. I went to, not Shakespeare and Co., Shakespeare and Sons, which I think is not related to Shakespeare and Co., but they're obviously going for a similar vibe. It's like an English bookstore. Augustus by John Williams, who, I already talked about how much I love Stoner, and everyone's talked about how good his other novels are. So I picked up Augustus, and am very, very keen to read this, but jumping now to a different country, which I believe I bought this in Amsterdam, Butcher's Crossing. I also got, so I double dipped on the John Williams in this trip, and I'm a little bit annoyed because obviously I've got this in the nice NYRB edition, and I also saw the NYRB edition of Augustus here in Amsterdam, but I'd already bought the vintage back in Prague. But now I'm like, but the vintage matches my Stoner edition, so this is the odd one out, even though this looks so cool that it's worth being the odd one out. But in any case, it was an abundance of John Williams for this trip. So I also have Butcher's Crossing. I think I might read this before Augustus, actually, because I have heard people say that it's better than Stoner, which is hard to imagine, but yeah. And then the last two ones, the last stop on the trip was Berlin, and bringing it back home full circle, and I bought I took a bit of a gamble with this one, Berlin Alexanderplatz by Alfred Döblin, but I mean, I couldn't help it. It seemed like, just quickly looking at what people said about it, it seemed like my sort of thing. And also, I had to buy the book Berlin Alexanderplatz in Berlin in Alexanderplatz. So I went to the Thalia that's in Alexanderplatz, and I bought this. And so, yeah, I mean, but I don't have anything else to add on it because, again, it was probably the most like blind pick or faith-based pick of this trip. But the last one, I went to a really awesome bookstore called St. George's English Bookshop, also in Berlin. And it was a used bookshop. It did, again, give me Shakespeare and Co. vibes, but it just in terms of like the layout and the setup. And I really loved the vibe. They had a lot of NYRB stuff. I was really tempted to buy another copy of JR. But what I ended up, I didn't even find it. My sister found it. I just said, can you see if you can find me anything by, I said some names like John Barth, Donald Barthelme, Volman, Gaddis, Gass, etc. And while there were so many things, I couldn't quite find any of those people. But then my sister was like, oh, hey, Barthelme. And I pulled this out and I got Paradise by Donald Barthelme, which was also a bit of a blind pick. And reading the kind of description or the synopsis of this book, it seems a bit surreal. So it'll be fun to kind of check it out. But yeah, Paradise was the last book that I bought on this trip. So that was 11 books. And the last thing I will do, I'm just realizing it's getting pretty dark. I'm gonna try and maybe turn a light on or something. So yeah, some slightly better lighting. But yeah, like I said, the last thing I will talk about is the book that I read. So I only brought one book to read on this trip, the King James Version Bible. I actually read more of it than I thought I would. I started like when I left, I had read just Genesis and Exodus, and I got about halfway through Jeremiah. So my plan is to keep reading and try and finish and get to finish the Old Testament, and then I'm going to take a break. I am going to read some other books, and then like at some point in this year, I will also read and finish the New Testament. The reason why I wanted to mention it, I'm not going to make any videos on the Bible, so it's kind of one of those things that, although I'm glad that I'm reading it, I will pretty much keep my thoughts to myself on it, but it does mean that I haven't read anything, so I don't really have content to make from here. So I'm hoping that with I'm hoping that I'll be able to finish off and get the finish off the Old Testament and start reading other books in time that I can keep up the 1 week schedule. But it might turn out that I just don't quite have enough time to finish it and do that. So might have to miss a week here or there, but I am keen to be back. I'm glad that I've read, a lot of the Bible. And so, yeah, I'm just keen to get back into making videos and talking about some of the books that I plan on reading. I don't know how my reading schedule will have changed considering the books that I've bought, but yeah, just gonna try and keep being consistent, keep making videos. And so yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for indulging me and talking about my life updates, and I hope that the book haul was worth it. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.